Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going to absolutely dismantle a massive myth that I guarantee has been holding a lot of us back. And that is this completely ingrained idea that you have to somehow find your passion. Instead of doing that, we're going to dig into the data, the psychology, and frankly, the financial realities to uncover how passion is actually built from the ground up and how we can finally escape what we call the middle class trap. Let's just jump right in with a number from a recent global Gallup poll that honestly blew my mind. 77%, a massive 77% of the global workforce is actively disengaged or basically quite quitting at their jobs. I mean, think about a relatable IT worker. Let's call him Amit. He's 26, makes a decent salary, and on paper, his life looks pretty perfect, right? But every single day at 9 a.m., he sits at his desk, stares blankly at an Excel sheet, and just feels this overwhelming emptiness. He's literally just going through the motions. And look, if you've ever felt like Amit, you are absolutely not alone. So I've got to ask you a direct question. Why do so many of us feel numb like this? Why do we wake up, sit in endless traffic, furiously swipe away on Candy Crush on our metro commute just to avoid eye contact, and drag ourselves through the entire week just to live for those precious 2 days of the weekend? It is just this exhausting cycle of temporary relief immediately followed by the sheer dread of the Monday morning alarm. It's profound burnout. But before we can even begin to fix this lack of passion, we really have to understand the invisible forces that are keeping us stuck in these jobs that completely drain us. And that brings us to the root cause of this numbness. It's what we call the invisible bars of the golden cage. You see, society subtly conditions us to fall into lifestyle creep. Think about it. Every time you get a raise, your spending just magically rises to perfectly match it, doesn't it? You upgrade the apartment, you jump on the car payment treadmill to get a slightly newer vehicle, and you stretch your monthly budget to the absolute maximum until you're completely house poor. You end up creating a very, very comfortable but completely paralyzing prison for yourself. You literally can't leave that soul-sucking job because you have way too many EMIs and payments just to maintain the lifestyle you've built. Now, this highlights a massive misunderstanding we have about money and happiness. We mistakenly think, a higher salary automatically equals freedom. We tell ourselves, if I just make a little more money, I'll finally be free to do what I want. But actual freedom, it's strictly the gap between what you earn and what you spend. If you earn a ton more, but you spend it all on convenience fees, brand loyalty taxes, and just keeping up appearances, well, that gap shrinks to zero. You aren't building freedom at all. You are just getting remarkably comfortable being broke at a much higher salary. So we're stuck in these financial cages, right? And yet the mainstream advice we constantly hear from everywhere is to just follow your passion. But as author Cal Newport bluntly puts it, follow your passion is bad advice. Now, why on earth would he say that? Because waiting for your life's passion to just magically drop from the sky leaves us feeling completely broken when it doesn't happen. We look inward, we find nothing there, and we just assume something is fundamentally wrong with us. And this is exactly where the science totally flips the script. There was this landmark 2018 study from Stanford University, and they found that believing passion is some hidden treasure you just have to search for and find is actually a really toxic fixed mindset. It just makes you passive. The reality? It requires a growth mindset. The researchers basically concluded that passion isn't something you discover out of nowhere. It's more like a plant. You have to deliberately grow it and cultivate it over time through serious, dedicated effort and skill building. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I have absolutely no idea what I want to grow, please don't worry. It is genuinely not your fault. Did you know there are over 12,000 recognized career categories in the world? Yet most of us are only ever exposed to, maybe 10 to 15? Doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant? Our highly rigid education systems and societal pressures basically never gave us the runway to explore anything else. I mean, you can't possibly know you're passionate about being a marine biologist or a professional woodcarver if you've literally never been exposed to it. The problem isn't a lack of interest, it's purely a lack of exposure. So how do we actually fix this? Well, we use a really cool science-backed blueprint. We call it the 3E formula: explore, engage, and excel. This framework is awesome because it shifts us totally away from that mindless hustling culture, and it gives us a structured, highly practical plan for actually building a passionate career. It's essentially your exit strategy from that golden cage we talked about earlier. Starting with step 1, explore. I want to bring in author David Epstein's incredible research here. He studied world-class performers across all fields and found something truly fascinating. People like tennis legend Roger Federer, they thrived not because they specialized super early, but because they had this broad sampling period. They tried everything: football, basketball, cricket, squash, before finally committing to one thing. To build passion, you absolutely must first expand your world. Try spending just 30 minutes a day researching entirely new careers and fields. Just sample the world around you. Okay, so once you find something that makes you go, that's kind of interesting, we move to step 2, engage. And there is a magic number for the step: 20 hours. According to author Josh Kaufman, it only takes about 20 hours of focused, deliberate practice to get reasonably good at a completely new skill. To put that into perspective, that is just 45 minutes a day for a single month. You do not need to quit your job. You literally just need to dedicate 45 minutes a day, maybe on the weekends or after work, to get your hands dirty. Paint a shoe, build a simple website, bake a cake, learn some basic coding. Just test it out in the real world to see if it actually sparks something in you. And if it does excite you, we finally reach step 3, excel. This is where we look to psychologist Angela Duckworth's famous concept of grit, which she defines as simply passion plus perseverance over the long term. Because let's be real, true passion requires fighting through the incredibly boring, difficult phases. It is not just relying on natural talent. When you hit a massive roadblock or when you get literally 0 sales for your first 6 months, that is precisely when grit is formed. You have to commit to that deliberate practice and really push through that initial friction. Because the ultimate goal of excelling is to hit what psychologists Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi famously called the flow state. This is that amazing psychological sweet spot where your skill level perfectly matches the challenge level of what you're doing. You completely lose track of time, you totally forget to check your phone, and you can become up to 500% more productive. Take a woman named Neha, for example. She started baking cakes in her standard home oven. She faced tons of failures, heavy criticism, but she stuck with it, entered this flow state, and fast forward 14 months later, she had built a highly successful cloud kitchen. She didn't find her passion. She quite literally built it. Now, I do need to pause for a quick but absolutely critical warning here. Avoid the side hustle trap. Please do not confuse building a true passion project with taking on a toxic side hustle just to pay for your lifestyle creep. If you are out there driving for a rideshare app or working a grueling second job purely to fund excessive spending, you are not building freedom. You're just trading your precious time for temporary relief, while your real problem, your underlying spending habits, grows completely untouched. A passion project is meant to eventually build you an exit plan, not just subsidize a life you hate. So this whole journey really culminates in this beautiful Japanese concept called ikigai. It relies on 4 main pillars: what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can actually be paid for. But here is the massive secret. You do not magically discover this framework perfectly balanced on day 1. No way. You build it. You build it over years of exploring, engaging, and excelling right alongside your day job. You just slowly transition and adjust until, eventually, your passion project entirely replaces that golden cage. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I really want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. What will you spend your next 20 hours building? Seriously, stop waiting for the perfect conditions, because I promise you they will absolutely never arrive. The time is going to pass anyway, so just pick one skill. Sample it this weekend. Stop waiting for passion to miraculously find you and start building your freedom today. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, keep exploring.